Hello. Wait for a couple people to join us here. I think I did it right this time so that we can actually chat while we are live. Welcome to Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons Network. Tonight is our Viewer's Choice discussion, so we will be discussing whatever you guys want to discuss further because there has been a lot happening this week in Chautauqua County, Erie County, all the counties, but those are the main ones we have a lot going on in. So come on in and join the conversation. If you're here, go ahead and say hello in group chat so that I know everything is running like it should be. Last time I forgot to enable the live chat. I believe it's up and running this time, but I would like to see a comment to know for sure. And I also do not know what we are discussing until you guys let me know what you guys want to hear more about. So I'm going to go ahead and say, welcome to Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons Network. Come on in and join the discussion. Tonight's discussion is Viewer's Choice. Anything that you go ahead and type into chat, I will try to discuss to the best of my ability to the extent that you want to discuss it too. So, just waiting for some people to join us here. Hello, Miss Brandy. Waiting for a couple people to hop on in and see what people want to discuss tonight. Welcome, welcome. So feel free to go ahead and shoot ideas or anything that you guys want to discuss that you have seen me post about this week or maybe not post about, what you want to know more in detail, who you want to talk about. I don't want to always be up to me what we talk about. So definitely want to hear from you guys. What specifically people want to know, what case we want to talk about. Go ahead and let me know. So some big things happening here in Western New York this week for sure, especially with the topic of missing and unidentified persons here in Western New York. So come on in and let me know what we want to discuss tonight. Or I will just throw a couple things out there, and if you guys have any questions, we can kind of take it as it goes. But I guess while we are waiting for a couple people to go ahead and hop in here, we will watch the Chautauqua County Sheriff Office go live at the press conference earlier this week regarding 2 bodies recovered last week in the town of Poland. One of them was identified as one of our Western New York missing and unidentified people that we had flyers up for and have become very close to the family, specifically her sister Wendy, but she was identified as our missing Marquita Mull. Rest in peace, Marquita. Now we are kind of transitioning that case from missing to unsolved. Foul play is suspected, being that she was found on a trail in Portland after being missing for roughly 4 months. Obviously not the end result we like to tell families here, but unfortunately sometimes that is the less happy part of things. But I have promised Wendy that we have not given up for the fight for justice and finding answers and who is responsible and holding them accountable for taking the life of Marquita Mull. Speaking of which, while we are on that topic, we are seeking information into the disappearance of Marquita Mull. She went missing from Buffalo at the end of June. Last seen roughly June 25th around Broadway Fillmore area. She had seen her dad for Father's Day. Roughly within a week or two, family was realizing they hadn't seen her. She left her apartment abandoned. So on July 18th, she was filed missing. But we will get more into that as anybody asks questions. But she was the second set of remains located on the Rails for Trails this week in Chautauqua County. The first body is still yet to be identified. They did rule out Corey Anderson and Lori Seaside Beauvais, but they have not yet ruled out Patricia Lemahert, missing from Westfield in, I think, 1976. They have nothing to compare to, so they are waiting on DNA to be compared on that matter because they aren't finding any dental records or anything of that nature. It was a full body, we found out later. So we will go ahead and... we wanted to give you an update on the information that we have and currently have. We're going to stick with the facts, rather than speculate, because we feel that by sticking with the facts, it's going to help us with our investigation instead of chasing speculations. So first of all, just give you a timeline. On September 26th at about 5:40 p.m., the sheriff's office received a report that a hiker on the Rails to Trail off of Wollabin Road in the town of Portland located what she felt was a possible human skull. Patrol officers, as well as a couple of our forensic identification officers, went to the scene and confirmed that they believed that it was a human skull. They secured the scene overnight, and we contacted Dr. Dirkmatt from Mercyhurst College Anthropology Division, and they came out the following morning on September 27th. Mercyhurst Forensic Anthropology Team, as well as the Chautauqua County Forensic Identification Team and other investigators were on scene beginning around 9 a.m. on Monday morning, and we're doing some excavating and clearing of the scene where the human skull was in fact found. Discovered that body was intact. It was skeletal remains, but about the entire body, skeletal body was still in the shallow grave, if you will, approximately 6 inches. We have since, with that, used dental records to rule out any of the missing people from Chautauqua County, specifically Lori Seaside Beauvais and Corey Anderson. Dental records do not match the remains of that body. And we are still looking at sending a portion of that skeleton to the New York State Crime Lab to do DNA testing. And so we can do some comparisons to Patricia Lemahert and any other missing person cases that we have around Western New York. That body was estimated to be decades that had been in the ground, which could potentially match with the 1976 disappearance of Patricia Lemahert, but it could also be further in the
Dr. Dirkman and his team are continuing to analyze and assess that to hopefully give us a little better determination on that. At about 11:25 on the 27th, when our investigators were doing a grid search, looking for other evidence and checking the area, in close proximity to the first set of skeletal remains, they located another section or body that had it was a full body. We found out later that was approximately 10 yards from the first location, and it was obviously had been there for a shorter period of time. Dr. Dirkmat had estimated to be 2 to 6 months that the body had been there. On October 1st,
rest in peace, Marquita.
While looking at a Western New York missing and unidentified person Facebook page, there was a flyer on there alerting us that there was a possible missing person from the city of Buffalo. And so we sent that information to Mercyhurst Anthropology Division. We were able to obtain medical records and x-rays of this person, and Mercyhurst was able to compare those and felt confident that that was the individual missing from Buffalo. Yesterday, we were able to get dental records analyzed by Mercyhurst, which confirmed that the results were confirmed being Marquita Mull out of Buffalo, New York, who was reported missing on July 18th to the Buffalo Police Department, to their E-District station on Bailey Avenue. In the report, Marquita was last seen on June 25th in the Broadway and Fillmore area. And July 19th, Buffalo Special Victim Unit Missing Person Division began their investigation. We have been working with Buffalo Police Department since October 1st and discussing with them and sharing information back with us. And we're going to continue working closely with Buffalo Police Department. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the Mull family in hoping that they can get perhaps a level of comfort knowing where their loved one is. And we're just going to continue to investigate thoroughly, looking for anybody that may be involved in her disappearance and her death. I just I wanted to share that this investigation has been ongoing, will continue going, but we've been able to work through because of all the help we've had. And as we're in emergency services building here, so I give credit to them. They've been there with us at the search scene right along, providing this room for us.
Thank you to all the searchers,
every police agency in Chautauqua
investigators.
County has helped with this investigation, with the search, with the forensic
But it
portion.
don't stop here.
We've had K-9 units from across Western New York, including the state police, Erie County Sheriff's Office, and a private K-9 unit that comes searching a cadaver search dog. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has been helping us right along, which is valuable for us for the resources that we have.
The Federal Bureau of Investigations.
Investigation. The Chautauqua County Coroner's Office has worked right along with us, as well as the medical director for Chautauqua County. So those are the facts that we have at this time. Our goal is to be able to also identify the first body through the DNA testing, and then, as I mentioned, to hopefully find those individuals or individual who is responsible for the deaths.
I'm confident we will.
Questions?
Sheriff, if you could you spell the woman who was identified, spell her name for us?
Yes.
I know Marquita's sister, Wendy, is
Marquita
not giving up.
MARQUTA.
We will find the person or persons responsible
is MULL.
for taking Marquita's life.
She's 50 years old.
We have kind of transitioned the flyer. We are working on that as we speak to transition the flyer from a missing persons flyer, which our group was the one. Thank you, Flyer Girls. I know 2 out of my 3 of them are here watching live. A special shout out. Thank you to you guys for stopping what you're doing. making
in
these
Chautauqua
flyers
County.
for our group because it was our
So,
flyer that he seen
We do believe
to be
somebody
able to
brought her to
recognize
this location.
that it could be Marquita.
What do you think the chances
Um,
are that they were both in that same area?
Now we are going to kind of change that flyer from missing
I
to
have
unsolved.
no idea.
We are
That's
looking
one
for
of those
any
speculations. I
information.
don't want to go there yet. We're going to chase the facts
I'll
and look at
finish
that.
after he finishes.
The proximity indicates maybe, but there's such a timeline in between the two, so we're not sure what that would indicate yet.
Are you guys done investigating that particular scene where both bodies remained?
Yeah, we've done additional searches in that area, looking for evidence, making sure that there were no other bodies, and so we don't anticipate. I'm looking at Lieutenant Nutt from our criminal division to make sure. I got the head shake. No, we likely won't be going back there unless again we're looking for other evidence.
Can you describe the area as far as its relation to the trail, how accessible it is, how easy it is to get at?
It's a short distance off the road. It's in between the Rails Trail path in the roadway, and there's probably 20 to 30 yards between the trail and the roadway, maybe a little further, but it was about in the middle. So it's close to the roadway as well as the trail.
So as far as you guys know, it was just a coincidence that these two remains were just next to each other
At this time,
at this time?
yes.
And with regard to the first set, it's unclear or it's definite that it does not belong to anyone who went missing here in Chautauqua County?
It is not related to Lori Seaside Beauvais or Corey Anderson as a comparison of the dental records. Those two.
It's possible it could be someone else.
It is possible that it could be someone else from the
So
county.
would you describe this as foul play in both cases? How sure are you?
I believe because of the manner of disposal that there's foul play involved.
In terms of just leading the investigation, because this woman was from Buffalo, is there ever a point where Buffalo police would end up becoming the lead investigators on this, or is it just you guys?
We are working closely with Buffalo PD, and been on the line or phone with the deputy commissioner last night several times. Our investigators have been working closely with investigators from Buffalo PD, and we're going to continue doing that. So depends on where the facts lead us.
So at least
And,
three departments
again,
on the
it is
case
nice
so
being
far:
able to
Chautauqua County
with different
Sheriff's,
agencies
Buffalo
and,
Police
combine
Department,
our resources
and the Federal
so
Bureau of
we can do
Investigations.
a more thorough job with the investigations.
So for right now, it's you guys.
That's correct. That's correct.
Is there any indication of cause of death on either of the remains?
Not at this time. Marquita had been involved in a automobile a hit and run crash, I believe, in 2012. So there are various evidence that there's been trauma, but we need to make sure that the trauma is not caused from the car accident. And I believe she might have even been in another accident previously. So they have not determined any cause of death on either of the bodies.
Are you looking for assistance from the public as far as any information concerning this case?
Absolutely. Anytime if somebody's seen anything in that area, it's a remote area, as you know, Dave. And it's not a lot of traffic on that road. But if anybody has seen vehicles in there, suspicious vehicles, what we've been told is that it's not uncommon for vehicles to be parked at that trailhead to use the trails for walking and hiking. So, but we would take any information and follow up on that.
What was the condition of the remains found from Marquita?
Marquita, she was fairly well along in decomposition, but again, the entire skeletal remains was still present.
Do you think she was killed and brought to Chautauqua County?
Yeah, I personally don't believe that she was killed at that trail, but we have no evidence of that at this point. So we are going to continue to investigate that to try to find the location where she was killed.
Do you know anything more about the circumstances of her disappearance?
I do not. Just what I shared. She was reported missing on the 18th of July. Had been last seen on the 25th of June.
So she wasn't reported until that?
That's correct. She wasn't reported missing until July 18th.
Okay, last seen on June 26th.
That is correct.
Okay.
Or June 25th.
June 25th.
Yes,
In the Broadway Fillmore area, you said?
that is correct.
So, Sheriff, what is your message to the Beauvais and the Anderson family, the Cristo family, who, you know, maybe their hopes were raised a little bit, finding not one set of remains, but two, and to have their hopes dashed yet again?
Yes.
What is your message to them, and what's being done still to locate those two people?
I can speak for what we're doing within the sheriff's office. I've talked with the investigators from both the state police, who are the lead investigation on the Corey Anderson case, as well as the detective from Lakewood Bus-Side Police, who's the lead on the Lori Beauvais case. And we just want the family to know that we're continuing to work on those cases. To talk with the family and realize the anguish that they have to go through every time a body is found, and just knowing that their loved one is still out there someplace. I can't personally imagine what they're going through, but we are committed to continue to work at that. We've been in talks with our district attorney's office, and previous to this, several weeks before this, is starting our own unsolved case division, working with other agencies and partners, recognizing that
Finally,
these cases are
we keep
regularly
hearing they were
evaluated by
working on
different
that, but
investigators.
this is the official news that
To the families,
we now have
to
one.
know that
We
we're
have
actively
a
working on the cases.
unsolved
think,
cold
critically
case unit
important.
here in Chautauqua County now.
Heather?
Can you speak to the fact that the first set of remains obviously have been there for a long time? Now, you had 3 people that you were looking at trying to connect, and dental records to go off of, DNA to go off of. Now that you've ruled those the 2 women out, Beauvais and Anderson, how does that make your job more difficult? How do you go about it? Because you don't have someone specifically to compare to. It's just sort of up in the air. If you rule out that.
Yeah, we are currently trying to locate medical records and dental records for the 3rd person to look at that. We are also entering all information that we have into national database, CODIS and NAMIS, and hoping that something from those databases will lead us to a potential victim.
Sheriff, along those lines, I apologize, this just came into me. Apparently, her sister, Wendy, called our newsroom earlier in the summer and thought that there was some connection to her sister's disappearance and possible death to a person from Angola. Any connection to that? Anything you know about?
The only information I have on Angola is from what I read on the Western New York missing and unidentified person, is that she had connections to the Angola area. But I did not read that there was any potential suspect from there. And I've had the opportunity to speak with Wendy just this morning.
We'll elaborate on
brought
this
up,
exact
but,
thing here in a minute.
Doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't have some information on that.
Great, thank you. Just to get a clarification, in terms of comparing the medical dental records to the National Missing Persons Database, how long does that process take?
We also submitted Marquita into NAMIS when
So Mercy
Wendy
Hurst,
reached out to us. I
we're hoping
realized
for
she
some-
wasn't yet
some
in the
reports from
database,
them
so
within a month,
our
but,
group helped
some of
submit
the other
her,
testing
and
could
she
take,
is in there. So
several weeks to several months, depending on which labs we're using, and some labs, can even take years. So
As an investigator, to have a body, a missing person 60 miles away, end up within feet of other remains, what goes through your mind?
a lot of things go through my mind. But again, a lot of those are speculations and theories that I'm not prepared, or nor do I want to really share those, because I don't want to take away from the facts, and I don't want to take away from the investigation, because I think as we lean on those, theories that really have no facts behind them, that distracts from the actual investigation.
that it does.
Since the first body is you're looking into a connection with a missing person case from 1976, what kind of records would exist from that time? Because medical technology was nowhere near as advanced as it is now.
That has been the issue. So we are continuing trying to track down any records. We do have who Patricia's dentist was. Who we're trying to track down is perhaps maybe a retired dentist has some records.
Have people reached out with any tips? Is there a tip line? I know that you can't tell us exactly what you may
I
have
fast forwarded
heard
it a little
from
bit
folks, but with the recent media attention, have you
so that
started
we
to hear
can
from
get
people
to
in
our
the community?
discussion.
Yes,
here.
we've started getting phone calls. Thankfully, some of these were suspicious situations that they remember from past, and I mean, a few of them have been several years ago that has triggered memories. And so with the media coverage, it is a good tool for us as well, in that it might remind people or encourage people to call us if they have information.
What would you say to folks who maybe remember something from a few years ago or 10 or 20 years ago, who think maybe that wasn't that big of a deal, or at the time didn't think it was anything? Would you encourage them to call? Because does that help you rule things in or out?
Absolutely.
Or the timeline?
Absolutely. It's without knowing that information, we can't follow up on it. So it's really good that they call. We have dedicated officers to this search and this investigation, and we'll continue to work as diligently as we can on this, and with all of our partners around the county and the state and the nation. So,
The 1976 case, are you talking the family members?
yes, two of the brothers.
Okay. I assume how they've been through this whole process.
As with every family, I think they're struggling. They have the emotional roller coaster, but they've been very helpful in providing whatever information that they're able to. And again, we're trying, any of these investigations, the goal is not only to be able to identify the individuals, to find out who may be responsible for their deaths, but also to hopefully provide some level of comfort for the family members.
Do they live local or are they out of the area now?
They're out of the area.
Can you talk about how long it will take, for the skeletal remains in terms of doing DNA analysis? What the timeline?
Yeah, we've been told 4 to 6 weeks potentially to get the result back from the DNA. So.
Okay, we're going to end that there because the
we
video is available. If anybody wants to watch that, it's available in the group. I just wanted to use that as a segment since I wasn't getting much as far as who wants to discuss what. There aren't as many people here live as I was hoping for, but that is okay. They can come back and watch it later. But with that, I will kind of go into a little bit of details, and that is very vague. It's not much more than what the sheriff already said, but basically what he knows is what he has read off of our website from a very dear friend from Underground Mysteries that writes up on some of our missing people when I tell her that we aren't getting enough media coverage. She is kind enough to get something wrote up. So she has also spoken to Marquita's family and myself, got something wrote up, and basically that's what the sheriff is talking about, in that the family didn't see her every day on a daily basis necessarily, so that right away it didn't raise a red flag. It did when she didn't pick up a paycheck from community services. That is who pays her rent as well. That started raising red flags for her sister and children and those that loved her. So she wasn't picking up checks. She wasn't picking up her much needed medication, which had us concerned. The last sighting that were reported were actually from our search parties that went out in Buffalo looking for Marquita on several occasions. We had small groups print and hang flyers with Marquita's sister Wendy on numerous occasions, at least 3 or 4. And on one of those, people reported seeing Marquita with a lady named Mary and possibly a man named Chicago near the Broadway Fillmore area, as well as I think the last reporting was her by the Greyhound station in Buffalo, seen with a white Caucasian male. He was bald, had a white truck, supposedly seen striking Marquita down that way. We do not know, and her family does not know, who that white, bald, Caucasian male in the white truck was. If any of you guys in Buffalo, New York know who Marquita was hanging around with at the end of June, beginning of July, and you can identify this gentleman in the white truck that she was seen with, that would be very appreciated. That will be on the new updated flyer that we are getting updated for seeking information now. Just because she is found, we are not stepping back. We are actually stepping up. We are not giving up. Wendy, our continued prayers and support from Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons Network. We are all still here through this time, unfortunate time. And if you need anything, you can holler. In the meantime, we are going to do our best to help you find answers. But nobody knows who this white man, he was bald, white truck, seen striking Marquita down by the Greyhound station end of June. If you can help us identify that gentleman. Other information that we are just seeking because family didn't know all of her personal stuff. But I did have a friend on Facebook that said Marquita did have a boyfriend at the time, but nobody can really identify who Marquita's boyfriend was at the end of June, early July. So if any of you know this information, please feel free to pass it forward to the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office. First and foremost, I will give that number out here in a minute, as well as we have an anonymous tip line if for any reason you feel uncomfortable reaching out to law enforcement, although we do urge you to. We understand not everybody will. And our anonymous tip line email is WNYMissing&Unidentified@yahoo.com. Go ahead and send us an email. You don't have to tell me who you are. I am not associated with any law enforcement agencies. I have no means of tracing you or a fake email. So feel free. Obviously, we don't believe every tip that is sent. We vet that information, but feel free to pass anything forward that you might hear through the grapevine, because it might just be that small piece of the puzzle we need to solve any of our unsolved or missing cases here in Western New York. While we are on that subject, I am going to give you the information. Soon we will have a shareable flyer seeking information. If anybody knows where Marquita might have been staying or going in Angola around that time, that is appreciated. We don't really know who she went there to visit. We just know that she had visited Angola recently, and that is closer to Dunkirk than Buffalo. So we don't know the association there. If you know somebody that Marquita knew in Angola, or she said, hey, I'm going to see so-and-so, and you know who that person is specifically, please, 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 please let one of the investigating agencies know, or that anonymous tip line that I have mentioned. Anyone with information on Mull's disappearance and now murder is asked to call Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office at 716-753-2131. Again, any information about anybody that she might have been seen with besides the people that I have mentioned, maybe who she was dating at the time, any of her associates in Angola. If you know any of these small pieces of information, I forgot to add that. It is an older white bald gentleman, obviously, if he's bald. He didn't shave it bald, though he is older, said to be between about 40 and 60 years old, approximately. Obviously seen from passerbys, and he was in the vehicle at the time, but any information regarding who that is appreciated. So I think that is all for Miss Marquita temporarily. If you have any other specific questions or any specific information related to her case, please call those people. Also, really quick, while we're live, I've been live now 35 minutes and I've still only got kicked my stand. Still only got two of my moderator and flyer girls here. But really quick, while I'm on, I did want to discuss briefly Jalen Griffin, our missing child from Buffalo, New York. was 12 years old when he went missing on August 4th, 2020, which makes him 13 years old now because he's been missing 1 year and 2 months roughly and counting. Hopefully we can stop that count soon and get Jalen home safe. I have been doing some sleuthing, and I waited a little while to share what I had found to make sure I reported it to appropriate authorities and gave them some time before releasing some information publicly. But I did share some of this information in the group this week. It was information from 44 weeks ago, which was after he went missing, but obviously long enough to the point anything could have happened to Jalen in between that time and this time. But I did share those findings in our private group, Missing Child Jalen Griffin, on Facebook. If you aren't a member, please join and invite your friends and family from Western New York. We need all eyes looking for Jalen, not only in Western New York, but now I have asked people to also keep their eyes open in and around Atlanta, Georgia, including Henrietta, Marietta, Snellville, Atlanta, those areas. If you live in those areas in Georgia and can help our Western New York team out by printing and hanging some Jalen Griffin flyers, please reach out to me so that we can get that flyer to you. Anywhere and anywhere that will allow it is very appreciated, but this does not mean to give up our search efforts here on home base in Western New York. Here is his specific group on Facebook, Missing Child Jalen Griffin. Right now we have 164 members, and I'm hoping to get that up there soon because we need all eyes looking for this missing 12, now 13-year-old child, just a middle schooler when he went missing. There have been no confirmed leads or sightings, and as I discussed last time we were live, we're looking for confirmed sightings. If at any time you come across Jalen and think it is him, please take video, audio, pictures, jot down a nearby address. All of those things help confirm that information, as well as calling 911 immediately. So I will share the information that I shared in the group with you all really quick here. But of course, this was 44 weeks ago. This is not to say that Jalen Griffin is safe. It's actually saying quite the opposite. He was believed up until now to still be in the Western New York area and still very well could be. I do not want our Western New Yorkers letting our guards down because this is only a possibility, not confirmed, not anything like that. But I did start peeking at some of his family members' Facebooks, and I did come across his brother posting this here. And it says, "Go home, Jalen," with a picture of him and his brother. And in the comments section, somebody asked, he still didn't go home? And he said, "No, bro." And then, this is the interesting part. In the next part of comments, somebody said, "He said he ain't gonna either," as far as going home. And that is from a gentleman named Joseph Anderson 3 on Facebook. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia. Jalen's brother also happens to live in Atlanta, Georgia, which go home Jalen doesn't necessarily sound like he's staying with his brother in Atlanta, but the other person said he's not going home either, which makes me think either that person visits Western New York and has talked to Jalen since he went missing, or possibly Jalen is in Georgia. That is not confirmed, but we need flyers and eyes down in Georgia, Atlanta to be specific, but still here on the east side of Buffalo and Western New York, do not let our guards down. Just recently, we also had another kind volunteer go out. She got 180 copies of Jalen's flyer made up for our group and laminated and went out, and it was just her and her children. Everybody else was invited. Some of Jalen's family members were invited, but this volunteer showed up and showed out, and I want to give a special shout out to China and her children for going out and doing what others are not. And we need more people like you. You are angels on earth, along with my flyer makers, moderators, administrators, and just overall the group. I want everybody to realize that we are a team. We need each and every one of you. We need you guys popping in these lives. We need you guys sharing. We need you guys tagging every person you know from the Buffalo area, Angola area. We need answers for Marquita. We need to know exactly where Jalen Griffin is and get him home safe. At this point, it has been over 1 year and 2 months. Like I said, somebody may have spoken to him 44 weeks ago, but that's not to say that he has stayed in their eyesight since then either. We do not know if Jalen is safe. We do not know if he was abducted. We don't know if he was taken against his will, if he left on his own, if he was groomed. We do not have those answers, or Jalen would be located at this point. So we need all of Buffalo, because some people were under the impression that he has been found. Jalen Griffin is still very much a missing 13-year-old child that cannot fend for himself, not in the streets of Buffalo, New York, and not in the streets of Atlanta, Georgia. This child needs to come home. It's past time, is what I keep saying, and I feel like we are closer than ever. Here at Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons Network, we have started coordinating efforts with GYC Ministries that has been looking for Jalen the whole time and will continue doing so. But we need you guys. So like I said, share our videos, share his flyer, invite people to the Missing Child Jalen Griffin group on Facebook, invite them to Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons. There's a public page as well as our private discussion group. Anybody is welcome to share posts from the public page. I'm a little bit more choosy on who we accept into the private discussion group, because first and foremost, we are here for the families of our missing, and it is a safe place for them. So I ask that that one remains a little bit not questions that are mediocre between disrespect and curious. We are happy to answer questions, but that is more a safe place that we can discuss private information. The shareable information is all on our public page, Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons, and anybody is welcome to share from there. But I've now kept you guys for about 42 minutes, and I only got 3 of you guys on here. Does anybody have any questions? Want to touch base on any of the cases mentioned in the conference that I didn't really get into? Or should we save that for next time? Is there a specific case you guys want to discuss next week? I think I will set it to 1 or 2 cases, because there's not that many people that joined live to bounce ideas and let me know what you guys want to hear more about. So I think picking a discussion and sticking with it will get further. If there are no questions or suggestions, I will go ahead and end this live, and feel free to message who you think we should discuss next week via PM. Find me on Facebook. We have now started platforms on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, public and private page, as well as the private Jalen Griffin group. I'm going to show you some of them really quick. I will show you our Twitter page. We have also started a TikTok. So following us on all of those platforms and inviting others to do the same will help get word out. I can only accept so many friends on Facebook, so we can only get the word so far. We need everybody's help with the sharing and inviting and tagging and getting people active in these discussions and getting our Western New Yorkers activated for our missing and unidentified persons of Western New York. Here is our Twitter page here. Here's us on Twitter now. So feel free to follow us on there. We are also on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Soon expanding to all of them that I can figure out or somebody will help me with. I had a couple people helping me with Twitter for the longest, but when we had the Facebook outage, I decided that was the best time to go ahead and finally get one started so that I am not asking those two people to share to Twitter all the time on our behalf. We now have our own, but we need followers and we need likes, we need comments, and we need all of those things to help our missing and unidentified people. I would like to finish up here with a moment of silence for Marquita Mole this week. It's never goodbye, but see you later, Marquita. Rest in peace. We will be here holding your sister up in our prayers and support. Wendy, again, if you need anything, you know our group is still here for you, and you are in all of our prayers every single night. And like I said, we have not given up. Now we have found Marquita, but that is not the end of that. We will find the person responsible. And as much as I hope this makes it all over the internet, I hope if nobody else watches this video, the person responsible for taking the life of Marquita Mole watches this video, because your day's coming. I'm confident of that. The investigators have been great. Everything coming out has been in a timely manner. The investigation seems to be being done thoroughly. But like I said, we are still attempting to generate tips, and no fault of theirs. But like I said, the family didn't associate with all the same people Marquita did. So if you know any of Marquita's close associates, passing those names forward to her sister Wendy or myself, as well as any of the investigating agencies, because like it said in the video, there are several already on this. Not just one, not just two. There's 3 that were mentioned in that conference, but that's not to say that's all that's working on it either. So I am confident in their ability. They have been working around the clock, and I want to thank our searchers and investigators that have done everything that they have to secure these areas, search them thoroughly, find information relating to who the remains belong to, staying alert and aware. And again, if you guys go places, try to stay in pairs. We don't really know. I know a lot of people are questioning the serial killer theory, but as of right now, there are no facts or evidence to yet say that. That can become a topic of discussion if anything connects the 2 deaths, which people keep saying, why hasn't that been done yet? The cause of death for each person has not been stated yet, so you can't really tie 2 deaths together until that is completed. Even if they are related, we will not know it until both cause of deaths are determined. But thank you all for joining us live tonight. I hope that next week more people will join us, more people will tag people, invite people to all the groups, discussion groups, JLN group, and we might even start a Justice for Marquita group. I'm going to talk to her sister about that once we got the flyer started up, but I know she has been very overwhelmed, and I'm not trying to add to that. But I talked to her yesterday, and she is far from giving up. She is trying to take a little time to grieve the loss of her sister, but it has also given her the motivation to seek answers, justice, and find the person responsible for her sister's death and possibly the same person responsible for the other death, but we don't yet know that. So we are looking for any associates of Marquita's in late June, early July, that white truck, anything that you might know related to her disappearance. We'd love to talk to you. So again, the sheriff's number is 716-753-2131. So on that note, I am going to leave you guys at that. I hope to discuss with more ladies and gentlemen next week. I hope more can join us live so that we can get some of these questions out of the way, keep the facts first and foremost, not conspiracy or theories. Like the sheriff said, until things are actually tied together, let's take things for what they are. Regardless, 2 people lost their lives and not at their own hands, not by choice, by somebody else's decision. And I am here to let you know it is none of our ability to decide if somebody should live or die. So I can't wait until that person is identified and justice is served in whatever capacity that it can be anyways. So thank you all for joining here at Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons Network. I appreciate you for tuning on, and I hope to see you guys all next Sunday. Let me know what you'd like to discuss, because I am going to do a topic a week, case a week, and I don't mind hearing from you guys. Otherwise, I will refer back to the poll I did a while back in the group as to who'd highlight. So far, we have highlighted Jalen Griffin's case and Joel Stefani's case. And I think next on that list, if I'm not mistaken, may be Melody Lebowitz. So that may be the topic for next week if I don't hear anything else from you guys. Oh yeah, quick mention also that there was a female body recovered in the Buffalo or Niagara River. I think Buffalo River. I just read it. Maybe I should check the group really quick so that I don't misspeak. But no further details have been released as to the identification of that person. However, I did notice, coincidentally enough, that Search for Sanaya Dennis, the Buffalo Missing College student group, did post that link. There has been no official release that it could be or is not Sanaya Dennis. So if anybody was going to ask that question yet, there is nothing to say it is or is not her yet. But I am anxiously awaiting to hear what the rest of you, and as soon as I hear if they release the identity of that body located, I will share it in the group under that original thread. I hope you guys all have a lovely night and a lovely week, and our group is mourning the losses with a lot of these families. Our prayers are still continuing for the Seaside Beauvais family as well as the Anderson family. I also want them families to know not only has the Chautauqua County Sheriff not given up on them, but we have not here at Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons Network. Sometimes we do conduct searches for even longer term missing people here in Chautauqua County. If you are ever interested in joining one of those searches, go ahead and reach out to me on Facebook. Numbers speak volume, and it's kind of hard for 1, 2, 3 people to go out on a search and be successful in such large areas of possibilities. I have wanted to get a little group together for quite a while now to go look up near Courtright Road. Not that it has not been done thoroughly and multiple times, but we know from other cases all around the USA that an area can be searched 10 times at the time with no luck, and 10 years down the road, because of weathering or some other reason, those remains become visible, almost just like what happened there on the trail in Portland. Those remains have been there decades. Nobody has come across them, and now somebody did see them looking for keys. The weather probably likely had parts to do with that, and you never know what you might come across 5 years, 10 years down the road that even though it was searched, might now be weathered away and is more easily exposed. But I have not given up on the search for Corey Anderson or Lori Seaside Beauvais either. Our group has not. We will not, as well as justice for Marquita, justice for Lori, justice for Melody, justice for Melinda Jewell. The list goes on. That's definitely not all of them. I have my notebook here. I could go on for days, but for now we will leave it at that. And I hope you all have a great night and week. So thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you next week. Good night.